Don't worry about that. I'm going to show you guys how to basically use Google My Business in a way that is meaningful to help capture seller business. And
before you say you don't want to discuss interest rates, do you
Yeah.
know, did the Fed go up yesterday? I missed it if it did. I know they met.
honestly, I'm in the middle of moving and I haven't had more than a couple minutes of free time.
But I never saw anything.
So because you told me that yesterday,
Yeah.
I have been like searching and
I've
searching
seen nothing.
and I haven't seen anything
Usually
either, but
after they meet, it's within a week or so later.
that's what it sounded like
Last
they're.
time it was like the next day. They told
So I can tell you that interest rates went down this morning. So like my little email that I get that tells me whether things are up or down from the day before and whether my last rate sheet's still good. Rates improved this morning. So likely the Fed probably put a break on that. That's the talk anyways, is that they're teetering now about maybe not doing it as the 9 times in a row that they said they were going to do it.
If they put a break on it, that's going to cause some problems.
I mean, inflation is too crazy. They need
Yeah.
They got to keep it going for a
I
while.
suspect they would have. Anyways, we'll figure it out.
With the market the way it is, sellers are still really important and there's still not enough inventory and buyers are going to have a harder time buying with a shrinking buying power because most people didn't get raises equal to the inflation rate. So you're going to see having the listings are still going to be the ticket. So there's a really cool tool called Google My Business, and it's going to really help put you in the forefront for the seller. For me personally, just a little background real quick. I've been in the business for a little over 5 years between different parts of real estate. I used to work for Zillow. I used to walk and train and teach agents across the country how to use that particular ad product. But it let me get around a lot of really great teams, really big agents across the country and see what they're doing, what works for them. And consistently, 2 years ago, this was brand new and it was turning over a ton of business, and it still does because most people are not going to take the time to put the effort in to get this done. So my own wife is an agent as well. She's over in Anchorage. She does a ton of business. You know, she only started working in real estate because I needed a good story. I was working at Zillow, so people would buy the advertising. They don't want to just hear somebody else's story. She turns out to be actually really, really good at it. So we ran a small team out of Seattle before we moved up to Anchorage. And a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is stuff that we've done, have done, and are doing. So if you have any more detailed questions afterwards, I'll put my email and info up. You guys can hit me up and I'm happy to help answer any side questions as well. So, that being said, we're going to go through it. We'll keep it quick and funny. Maybe.
He also brought really good treats over here, and I really do not want these all left. So please.
Is that why you went over to sit next to him?
No, I wanted to make room for Cole.
There we go. Now we're moving. All right, so we're going to review the agenda real quick. The what and why of Google My Business, how to set up your account. We're going to skip. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can just click through it. I deleted those slides for the purposes of time. Getting client reviews, though, how to do that and why it's important and what other mechanisms you can use. How to actually get found. We're going to teach you how to optimize your profile so that you make it actually does something for you. You're not going to just sit there and hope it does something. And then how to use Google Insights to actually track what your business profile is doing for you and how to increase it and see marked improvements on a regular basis. So what exactly is Google My Business? It's a free business listing platform that basically allows you to put your business information directly onto Google Search and Google Maps. Your business listing is going to really include a description of your business, contact information, reviews, photos, and even a question and answer part where your clients can ask questions and you can answer some of those common questions that you get regularly. Google My Business is really all about reaching people in their local area. So basically, when you search for a business on Google, the Google My Business page is what's usually going to show up. And you can see the mobile version on the left, the computer version on the right. I'm sure some of you have searched for something, you've seen something similar to this, but basically a Google My Business profile displays the name, phone number, email address, website link, and a quick little shot to the reviews. It's a kind of all in one place just to get a quick view of what you're looking for. So let's talk about the benefits of having one of these. You need to make it as easy as possible for people, for the customer to find you. And your goal is to connect with local home buyers and sellers. So we know that the average buyer is going to be on Zillow, some other portal website looking at houses long before they call you. But think about a seller, somebody who's looking to get their top dollar for their house. They're the ones that are actually going to do research. They're going to go out and look for an agent and on purpose find somebody that they know can do the job. So it's a much easier way to get business. It's inbound marketing, basically. So the other important part here we're talking about is basically having your profile in a way that is visible, where you put the work in. So if people are typing in Elizabeth Yee and Realty One, they're going to see her show up at the top of the search with her local business information. This is going to add credibility to her overall profile so that when the customer searches and sees you on the biggest website with the other top 3 people in the market, that's instant credibility. The second major advantage is that you're going to appear in the Google search. This is the #1 most used search website ever. The other thing that people are doing right now is they're using a lot of Google Maps to find things. So like when I needed to find a bakery, I went to Maps, typed in bakery, but I called them. I didn't need directions. Similar thing here. People are doing that with local agents, and they're using the phrase near me as a kind of way to do that, but they're not actually getting driving directions. So don't worry about people necessarily coming to the office. It's more about how do they find somebody local to them. Consumers are using maps to just look for professionals. So
We do a report like monthly on like our, as a brokerage for our Google searches. And it's amazing how many people call us.
right,
through Google. Like they look us up on Google and then they.
because they're on their
click
phone,
the
and then
number.
we're going to get to that in just a minute, but it puts a big blue call button, and it's so easy just to hit that button and connect directly with whoever you're looking for. So
Yeah, we get like a report, and I'm always like shocked that like I think last month we got 41 calls that came through Google.
and how much those calls cost you?
Nothing.
Right. That's the other part of this whole thing. Like all of this is free. It's just Google doing what Google does. So once you build out your profile, and when you go online, you just go to google.com/business, or just Google my business, and you'll see it. But it's really easy to set up. Follow the prompts. They're going to make you verify your location. They either send a postcard out with a number on it, or they have a couple other mechanisms. You can do a video of you out in front of the building. I don't know how that actually verifies it, but AI is getting crazy nowadays. So, but they're going to make you verify. For a building like this, where there's like a bunch of people in the same spot and you all have the same address, just take like your office number and call yourself unit 101, 102, 103, whatever. It won't change where you're at on the map. And the more things that point to a single address like this, the more credibility for local, that's going to help push everybody's ranking, including the brokerages, to the top of Google. So we're going to look at how to optimize your profile. This is like really any other social media account. You're going to add some personalization to your Google My Business page. It's an important part of actually having a complete profile. You're going to create a cover image for your listing. You're going to be able to come in here and you're going to be able to add a little 30-second video. That video can either just be you doing your agent introduction. It can be a video of the building. It can just be your favorite TikTok. Just something personal that's going to help people differentiate. And then under products are really interesting category for your business. You're going to want to take all of your listings and make them a product. And you're going to continually update that product section with your new listings. And that's going to help keep Google looking at you fresh and update you in the algorithm. Other good products to add are any of the other incentives that you might offer. So let's say you were a Homes for Heroes person and you have a discount for veterans. I would put that in the product section. If you have a special like free moving van for people when you help them buy or sell a house, that goes in there as well. Just something to help look different than everybody else online. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you add office photos. You're going to want to look inside and out, but ultimately, if the clients do end up meeting you here, it's really helpful for them to be able to pull up your address and see specifically, I'm at the right place. Secondly, we're going to come in here and we're going to talk a little bit more about keeping your listing fresh. If you're involved in like a community toy drive, if you're doing any kind of community activity, post a link. If you decorate your office for a holiday or you're doing something fun, add it to your Google My Business page. This helps update Google as well, lets them know that you're keeping current and lets them know what you're doing. So your business description. This is a really important part of your profile. It's a brief description. You get 750 characters to tell us what's unique about you or your office. Now, here's the thing. Make sure you add the most important stuff first, because just like a newspaper, Google's only going to really show that first 250 until people click more. So that first little paragraph is going to be the most important part. Ultimately, what works the best here is if you can explain to people in a short way who you are, what you do, and what problems you solve. And that is a great intro into that. Try to avoid, like, I've been here for 15 years. I love living in the Valley. Give people really specific reasons to stop reading and just stop on you.
Does that pop up when they type in your business?
Yeah, so depending on what kind of
First line.
device they're on and how much space there is, but it'll pop up underneath your name as
The
like
first few lines or whatever.
Yep. So after every transaction too, we're going to need to talk about getting reviews. You should be sending your customer at a minimum an email thanking them for their business and asking them for a little bit of help. You're going to want to then provide them a link directly to your Google My Business page and ask them for a review. In my experience, there's a couple different ways to handle reviews. If you ask for 5 different sites all at once, most people are going to freak out and not do it. So what I like to do is I like to hit them up one at a time. I'll ask for the most important one, which in my opinion is Google, because that's where most people start their search. And then after they leave that review, I'll thank them for the review. I'll send a follow-up email with a cut and paste of their review that says, hey, this was an amazing review. Thank you. Could you do me a favor and just copy and paste this over to Yelp, Facebook, whatever other ones you want, and just basically move them down the line from most important to least important. So you can control where your reviews are going. Or maybe you have too many Facebook reviews and you're like, I need more reviews on LinkedIn. Great, send them there. Like you can pick and choose what you're asking for the second one on, but we've had like double the amount of reviews left by daisy chaining them one at a time than asking for all 5 at once.
Do I have control over them?
What's that?
Do I have control over them?
Of the reviews? Yeah, because you're the one sending out the email asking for the review.
No. Once it gets published.
Oh, not really. It's kind of like you have control over reporting it, and you can tell Google that it was inappropriate. If anybody's ever fought with Zillow about their reviews, sorry, by the way, I used to work there, I used to get those calls. This is not like that at all. Google's way more, like if they use a bad word or you're like, hey, I didn't do business with them, like, they're much more on your side of things. And then of course you also get a reply spot. Every time you get a review, please go reply to it. An unreplied review is it's not good. It gives you a chance to also get in there and kind of cheat the system a little bit. You can go back in and tell your customer story. So you can say something like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it was great helping you out. I really enjoy helping first-time home buyers find that dream house. And I know how daunting it can be to be moved when you're in the military up here and have to relocate. And so you can use all these keywords that'll get populated in the overall searches. So later on, if you have enough of those replies to reviews, the algorithm will actually see that you're talking a lot about military relocation bets and first-time home buyers, and you'll start trending for those keywords more often.
And you probably defend yourself too. Sorry, the communication was so poor because you were in Spain for a month.
Well, and yeah,
Right.
Or whatever.
and if you do get a bad review, the best response I've ever seen is, I don't know this person. I've tried to contact them. They seem upset. If you mention this bad review and do business with me, I'll give you a $500 closing cost credit. And I've actually seen people get business from their bad reviews with that, and it just,
I don't think we can do that.
well, maybe not here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's illegal for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a thing. All right, anyways, you're also gonna have the ability to do messaging on your profile. So there'll be a big button that says, hey, message this person. When you download the Google My Business app, it'll ping you just like any other text message when you get a message. You respond in a timely manner. It tells people how long it takes you to respond. So the quicker you respond, the more likely, again, Google is to rank you. So it's a great way to just give people an easy way to ask a question without feeling the commitment of talking to a salesperson. It's like that. You can also set up auto replies. Auto replies are great. It lets people, don't tell people like this message is terrible. We're not gonna get back to you within 20, that's a terrible message. Like if I saw that, I wouldn't do business with somebody. Give them a link to somewhere to go look at something. So if you have a YouTube channel, hey, check me out on YouTube. You have a link tree. Hey, check out my link tree and look at my reviews real quick. I'll be in touch with you in just a minute. Give them something to do and they'll won't notice the time it takes you to call them back. You can change that. So the Google 3-pack, this is basically what Google does with your business posting. So you see the search term at the top of the search bar there. Imagine people are searching, real estate agents in Wasilla, real estate agents in Palmer. At the top, they're going to see those paid ads, but as soon as you get down to the next spot, you're going to see what Google calls the 3-pack, the local 3 recommendations. This is really where you want to show up. Nobody's going to click the more button usually. This is usually where people start clicking around. So, and remember, when they're on mobile too, they can just click that little blue button there, and that's what we were talking about earlier. This is where her 41 calls last month came from. You can literally just click the button and call somebody. So this is absolutely an easy way to connect with the customer. So how do we get better rankings in this section, in this important section? So they're going to factor in 3 different things that change the rankings. The first most important is relevance. Is your website relevant to the consumer who's looking for whatever they're looking for? Second is distance. That's why they're going to ask you for an address, and then they're going to know where the consumer is at through all the GPS stuff on their phone when they're searching, and they're going to try to pair people that are closer together. So, and then of course, prominence. This is just how many reviews do you have? How many keywords do you have in any of your products relative to the search? And it's basically just how well you're going to show up. Your business ranking locally is going to correlate directly to the completeness and accuracy of your listing as well. So what this means basically is that if you have a website, if you have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, all of them need to have the same title. They call it your name, address, and phone number. It needs to match pretty much everywhere on the internet. Otherwise, when websites go out and look to see if you have any other properties, they're not going to see anything. So ideally, whatever you name your Google My Business page should match what the title of your Facebook business page, and should match the title of your Yelp page, and on down the line. So you're going to make sure you have a good profile image. You're going to confirm your status. And then under questions and answers, if you don't have any people that can do it right away, have one of your coworkers do it, but get 4 or 5 questions in there that are common questions. Like, hey, I don't have a down payment. Can I buy a house? The questions that you get regularly that are layups for you guys that people really search for. If you don't know what questions to ask, Google has a really cool feature, but if you go in there and start typing something, it'll try to auto-complete for you. It's auto-completing what other people are already searching for. So if you just start to type the question and see what it auto-completes, those are great questions to ask. And then you come back in as the business and answer them. And those will rank really well on Google as well, because you're answering direct questions that people are asking. So reviews, we talked about that. It is absolutely wildly critical to get reviews. I did some research in this area. I think your highest reviewed competitor maybe has 60 reviews. So I don't know how long any of you have been in the business, but if you have more than 60 past clients, there's no reason you can't be the highest rated real estate agent in this city, and in a pretty short time. So just something to keep in mind. Pretty much 88, 90% of consumers want to see a review before they do business nowadays. And then also keeping your content current. If you're posting at least quarterly on your business profile, that's great. If you can treat it like social media and put something on there once a week, even better. But keeping your current content up to date, super important. Here's a little tip. Once you start receiving the reviews, make sure you go in there and reply. This is what we talked about earlier about adding those keywords. But if you want to go really next level, what I like to do is shoot a quick video, put it on YouTube as an unlisted video, and then drop a link in as well. This also links your Google My Business page back to your YouTube page. And if you're doing any kind of videos, it's a good way for other consumers to end up on another page that you own. And you can also track how many times that video has been viewed through YouTube and some other really cool analytics. So the other way is if you have your own website, you can actually embed the Google Maps link directly to your website. So I don't know how many of you guys have your own websites or not, but if you do, this is another good way just to make Google remember who you are. The other way that you can get reviews, by the way, you can do a quarterly review drawing. So you take all your past clients that haven't given you a review, you send out an email with a link that says, hey, do me a favor, doing a drawing, $50, $100, $200 gift card to wherever, and then have people do reviews. You'd be surprised how easy it is to, get reviews in doing this method. And then what you do for a second boost is you go on Facebook Live or shoot some video of you doing a drawing with a little paper thing and everybody's name in it. You pull one out, you announce who's the winner, you tag them on Facebook. Now everybody's excited. You've got a video showing you actually gave something out. So the next time you ask, people are twice as likely to do it. And it's call it marketing, but it's an easy way to get your review count high. And it lets you, again, pick which place you want your reviews. If you look at this guy here, he's got 114 reviews in Idaho. We've got good photos. So he's also got an event. So if you look, when your names match from Facebook and Google, it'll look if you put an event on Facebook and it'll announce it on your Google My Business page without you doing anything. And this creates that cross brand awareness where people can get from one of your pages to the others. So who else is this guy here? He's got his Christmas event linked up, and this basically helps him show up in the search because he's hitting on all the categories. He's hitting relevancy. He's got the right distance. He's obviously local and he's prominent. He's continuously posting information for people to see. And then once you go through the trouble of doing all this, Google's going to provide you with these useful insights. They're going to show you how many times your profile's been viewed. They're going to show you how people are finding you, whether it's through direct search or maps. They're even going to show you what keywords led people to your website. This is what Google My Business Insight looks like. It looks like a lot at first, but it's just going to show you those little bits of information. And think of this as your local window on everything local. It's going to show you what's trending on the things that you're doing. It's going to show you whether your photos are doing better than your competitors' photos. And it's going to show you how people got to you, which is really cool. Because then you can start to tweak maybe some more of your marketing to aim in different directions and be more specific on what you're doing. Here's a snapshot of his activity for the last 28 days. So you can see how his Google My Business listing is coming up both in the search and the map views. And then, like we talked about earlier, the maps are interesting because a lot of people are using map to find somebody, but not necessarily to get to them. So seeing a bump in either one of these really shows a high indication that marketing or something's working on this particular profile. And then accessing the insights is easy. You can do it from the mobile app or you can do it directly on the website. There's a little tab there and it'll let you click back and forth through it. And then they have a whole special spot on Google. If you go to supportgoogle.com/business, there's a whole forum and community where you can ask questions. So if you don't know how to do a particular thing or you want to know if something's possible, this is a great place to pop in there, drop a question, or see other people's questions. And that's it. We're all pretty much done with that, other than getting them set up. Couple things here. Basically, so we went over the what and why of Google. We kind of skipped how to set it up because it's pretty one click through. It's easy to get to, but if you have questions or you get stuck, call me or text me. I'll walk you through it. We can screen share on Zoom. Getting client reviews, super important. More important though, getting found on Google. And then of course, the insights. Tracking what you do will ultimately make you better at it. So seeing your Google account grow and actually get bigger and better is going to be part of the deal. So yeah. And then basically class feedback slide. If you guys would do me a favor so I can make sure I'm doing a better job for everybody. If you guys could scan the QR code, take 30 seconds. Give me a little feedback on the survey, how the class was, what you like.
How do I know that's what that's for?
I'm a trustworthy looking
Isn't
guy.
that the latest thing? Everybody's like scanning QR codes.
Well,
Haven't you been to a restaurant?
What's that?
I was asking Jim, haven't you been to a restaurant lately?
Yeah, there was a thing. It started off with a foot. Whoops.
In Arizona, like all the menus were on.
I was going to say for a minute there, you couldn't get a piece of paper anymore.
No.
It started off in the Super Bowl. They did an ad. And it was like just a
It was
minute
just a bouncing
of the
QR code,
bouncing
yeah.
around.
$22 million for that. And they said it was worth every penny of it. It was
And so then it started coming up. It's how gullible people are scanning QR codes. So sometimes it's spam.
Oh, okay.
And so that's the problem is that it's people scanning random QR codes and not knowing where it's taken.
This will likely go to the place I
Did
said it to.
not work. Oh, there we go. Is
Got
it?
it.
No, it didn't work. Hey, can you tell us a couple one-liners why not to use Zillow? Let me give you an example. Don't use Zillow because the Z estimate is inaccurate because we're a non-disclosure state.
I mean,
What else you got?
I don't have any one-liners. I can tell you that since I've worked there, the number of people coming to the website hasn't really grown that much, but they keep doubling lead count every year, and I don't understand how that's possible. Yeah. So they have more leads every year.
What do you mean?
Like, so the leads that they sell, like there's like, let's say there's 100 people that go to the website and they 10 of them click on the button last year.
Mhm.
Well, this year, 100, it's still only 100 people that came to the website, still 10 of them clicked on the button, but they're gonna keep the 10 from last year. And like, you get a lot more recycled business now.
So you're saying when they're selling it to us, they're saying we got all these leads.
Yeah, but they're not new leads. Some of them are like,
I'm trying to tell the consumer, don't go to that site, go to mine.
well, I mean,
Because
honestly, I would tell them any site's inaccurate because what the site's not doing, so 2/3 of a good CMA is what has happened. It's the last 90 days, but what the website portal sites can't tell you is what's pending. Only an agent can look on the MLS and tell you what's pending, and that's the other third of pricing. So you can get,
aren't pendings on Zillow?
no, they're not counted into the estimate. They're not part of,
Well, the estimate is totally inaccurate because they don't have the data.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Now they have good machine learning and they have good AI that can predict some of that stuff. So based on what the list to
They
sale
don't
price
actually have
ratio
the
is,
sold data.
what's that?
They don't have the sold data because we're not a disclosure state. They're using the tax records. Am I wrong?
No, they're usually using the tax records, but since they became a brokerage, they now have access to the NLSs. So they can see the prices.
Oh, I
They're pulling from the
MLS.
MLS.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, they're using-
No, they're registered brokerage everywhere now. So they have full MLS access.
So why is it so?
Awesome.
Thank you.
That is tricky because there's like some MLS rules about like using it for.
Well, and the reason the estimate's so wrong, by the way, is because this estimate was never meant for the consumer to necessarily price their house. It was meant for Zillow to tweak that in the areas they were buying houses in. So when Zillow comes to buy your house, those zip codes, those estimates would go down. So that way, like, it would be artificial, like literally people were posting online about this, but you could see a 20% drop in this estimate when Zillow announced it was moving into a market to buy houses.
I love that
No.
answer, even better than mine.
Yeah, now thankfully that didn't go very well for them. They're really in the hole on that one and had to fire half their staff and, you know, it'll be what it'll be, but the iBuyer program is really hard to do because computers still can't quite do even half of what an agent does in terms of predicting prices. And the more they try, it only works in places like Arizona where they have the same 15 floor plans for 8 acres. That's easy enough, you can do that. But anywhere with character, acreage, or views, no, you can't.
What about the feed seems to be wrong too? It's like people are constantly calling me about a house that isn't even on the market.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, because that's
it's
the
like
thing,
it's not
that's-
getting updated or it's not grabbing the MLS data. right.
There's no incentive to take and have accurate data. You only need enough data to make the consumer call so you can sell a lead.
Right.
So
It's all about lead generation and advertisement. Yeah.
it is, that's where they make 90% of their positive revenue. Yeah.
So I've heard that if you get too many reviews on Google in a day, it can actually be detrimental to, I guess, the ranking.
It depends on where the reviews are from. So yeah, if you have like all your friends from across the states and you put it back on your, you know, all your college buddies to drop your review, that's not going to be it. But if all the IP addresses are super local and it's just people here locally doing it, you can get as many as you want, it won't hurt anything.
Okay.
I can't see the Zoom. Are there any questions in the Zoom chat? You guys see anything?
Do you, who owns Zillow now? Do you know?
Still the same group of guys, Rich Barton and Spencer and,
So it's not a Berkshire Hathaway thing or something or whatever.
no, not yet. There was talk of Amazon maybe getting its feet wet, but that'd be a thing. And then if you guys, like I said, had any questions, we'd love to help. One other thing you guys should think about doing too is getting what's called a link tree. If you want a good example of it, again, another QR code because we love QR codes. But that's my link tree. It takes you to a little landing page. Basically, it's free. You can go see my reviews on the sites that I care about, and then I have links to all my socials on the bottom. But you could also link to a Calendly, which says, "Hey, book an appointment." You could also link to pretty much anything you want, which makes it a really cool way to get your information out. It's also a really good thing to think about including on a business card. Just something small on the bottom where people can go and it takes them to all of your profiles. And then you can basically customize it anytime you want, and it customizes it without having to change the QR code. Thanks again, guys, for
Thank
coming
you.
out and let me come talk a bit, and yeah.
Shouldn't you scare them into making it short?
Well, I didn't know how long we were supposed to be. I cut some slides out, so.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, this is good.
Well, if you guys have any other questions too, like,
Well, I mean, you're here, so
I was
you're
gonna say-
the lender, might as well tell us about.
so, yeah, we'll talk a quick bit about lending. There are some interesting things happening right now, but one of the most interesting, I think, is that the adjustable rate mortgage is coming back. So for those of you guys that don't remember 2008, maybe you, look at you.
That's the beginning of the end right there.
It was, but it's different now. We actually have to prove income and we have to get paperwork. Back in 08, you could do what was called a stated income loan, and you could literally just sign a piece of paper that says you made money, and they would let you finance 108% of the house. So you could go buy a house and get a $40,000 check at closing as the buyer.
Based on a signature.
Based on a signature. It's gross. And they would qualify you on what they call negative amortization loans. So the balance would go up every month because you weren't even paying all the interest, let alone an interest-only loan. We don't have any of that now. We have reasonable 5-year, 7 and 10-year adjustables, but they're discounting rates back into the 4s that way. So a customer that previously was pre-qualified 6 months ago, he got frustrated, she got frustrated, couldn't keep shopping, quit, came back to the market, and rates have doubled. That doesn't feel good. This helps them get a little bit closer back to the buying power that they had.
So, I mean, one of the big problems back then was that the interest rates came up and then all those rates were due. And that's why the economy crashed, or one of the reasons, one of the 3 or 4. So
Well,
how are you addressing that with clients?
it depends on the client, but typically speaking, the question becomes more about their next set of plans. For people that aren't planning on living in that house forever, if it's a starter house, first-time home buyer, or somebody who's in a likely to move category, it's going to make a little bit more sense because they can get a cheaper rate without paying for it. For somebody who's looking at their forever home, who's going to be here for a while, they're going to want to take a normal loan and basically pay points or prepaid interest and lower that rate. But the break even on points, for the most part, is somewhere between the 4 and 5 year mark. So if they leave before the 4th or 5th year, they've paid more money than they should have, monthly or otherwise. But so the adjustable rates too are a lot more regulated now than they used to be. Like they're tied to better indexes, and they're usually set to only adjust once a year. Whereas some of the old school stuff used to adjust like every 90 days, every 60. Like there were some crazy adjustment periods on those bad paper
Are
arms.
the mortgage companies making more money on adjustables?
No, to be honest with you guys, they make the most money on the government loans, FHA and VA.
I just watched The Big Short last week, that's why I can answer.
Okay, all right. I was gonna
That
say,
was one
yeah.
of the issues. Yeah.
Yeah, so the spread's bigger on the government stuff, but the conventional is 85% of the loan volume for the most part.
We need to watch The Big Short for training.
The Big Short would be an amazing like group movie because
That'd be a
it
great
goes through
training day. Big
a
Short.
bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it really covers.
There's also a bunch of creative ways to finance clients. So right now, clients are having to get creative to win offers. So clients with a down payment can actually take some of their down payment off the table, use that for an appraisal gap. And for the client, it's the same amount of money that they're going to bring at the end of the day. It's just a difference of accounting on how we count that money. So that might be another way to get competitive. The other way to get competitive is we do pre-underwriting. So we literally will take a client who applies, gives us all their paperwork, and before they find a house, we will send their file to the actual underwriter. Not the automated underwriting system, but the real yes or no man behind the curtain, who gets the money underwriter. And they'll say yes to the file and we'll get a conditional approval before you actually go to a property. And at that point, now you can waive financing and the customer won't be at risk for their earnest money. We're 100% on approvals after underwriting. That also lets you compete without necessarily increasing the price. And then it gives us time for a quicker close. If we can get the appraisal in quickly, sometimes we're closing business in a much shorter time frame than the 45 or 60 days that most of you are probably used to. So, and then the other fun one with the rates going kind of crazy back and forth, we have a shop or they call it lock and shop. So for clients that'll make the application and we can do the pre-underwriting, we can lock their loan pricing 30 days before they even find a property. So we could lock it today and they can go shopping for the next 30 days. They're going to get today's pricing and they get under contract a month from now. and then throughout the entire contract. So we can take some of the volatility out of the market for the client as well.
So it's
and let the-
guaranteed throughout the contract, even if it extends past 60 days.
Yeah, as long as we pay the extension fees, and then depending on
So we
who's,
still gotta pay an extension fee.
yeah, the extension fee is modest, and frankly, depending on whose fault the extension is, I mean, I can usually get management to bite a few days off.
So that's gotta be costing them a little more to do that then.
It does, it eats into the margin, so the company makes less money on those loans, but frankly, they're a really good solution for the times that we're in,
What's
and
it cost us consumer?
it doesn't cost consumer anything.
At least with you guys.
No, we eat the cost for the consumer, so there's a small basis point increase, but that comes off of our end.
So you're using it as a market. before they get the-
Yeah,
yeah.
because people want certainty when they're shopping, because it feels bad when you get home and you look at the news and they're like, oh, interest rates are up 0.5%. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Because most people, they over exaggerate in their head how much the spread makes a difference and with their payment. And so they see a bad news report and they think they're paying $500 a month more on their mortgage. And it's not that bad, but so those are the real ones that get most people excited about the product. And then for everything else, we've got the standard stuff, we're really competitive on rates, like everything else is too. Money costs pretty much the same everywhere, so most places should have similar rates. The more important half is just gonna be good service, having people that are available. To toot my own horn, I'm very available. I work nights and weekends like you guys. My wife's an agent as well, so I understand a little bit more about your side of the thing. And then I over communicate, so you'll get tired of hearing from me if we ever do business together.
So I'm dealing with a credit union now. And I'll give you this, it was too good to be true, but they did have a lower rate initially, but it's been a really nightmare.
And that sometimes
Because
can be.
they're getting money somewhere else. So help me understand this a little bit.
So when I talk to people about credit unions, banks and big banks, the conversation is about doing business with people that specialize. If your bank makes money 9 different ways, then the mortgage person is not necessarily the most important person in the branch, doesn't have to care about you the same way that I do. I only make money when we get to the closing table. I only get paid that way. So,
Clients are too stupid. They don't care about that. They're looking at the inch 1% less.
well, and frankly,
Yeah.
we don't usually get beat by credit unions. I've seen our company, and I'm stop recording at this point, but I've seen our company lose money and write a check to keep a deal
Yeah.
out of somebody else's hands. So like on a credit